and the Protestant Unionist Shankill. It is situated half a mile from the city centre, with easy access to all the city's main arterial routes. Built in 1842, Conway Mill was one of the first of 9 mills in the immediate vicinity of the Lower Falls, which was the epicentre of the Belfast linen industry. It consists of 2 mill blocks and 4 outbuildings. The larger of the 2 blocks replaced the original weaving factory in Conway Street around 1900. The workforce, mainly women, was drawn from both the Shankill and the Falls communities. They worked long hours for little pay, in very poor working conditions. The decline of the linen industry started in the late 50s, and over the next 2 decades, mill after mill in the Lower Falls fell silent. The closure of the mills was devastating for the local population, particularly the Catholic nationalist community, for little other employment was available to them. The streets of the Lower Falls, including Conway Street, was also to bear the brunt of the anti-Catholic pogroms of 1969, when Protestant Unionist mobs burnt down the homes of many of the mill's former workforce. The Falls Flax Spinning Company, as Conway Mill was formerly known, managed to survive until 1975, when it locked its gates for the last time, with the loss of 200 jobs, a far cry from the thousands employed at the height of the industry. Unlike the shipping and engineering industries in the east of the city, there was no government intervention to support the industry in West Belfast. No alternative forms of employment were established, or even encouraged, to counteract the increasing rates of unemployment in an area which could already lay claim to the highest rate of unemployment in Europe. The mill itself lies on the boundaries of the Lower Falls and Clonard, ranked 1st and 4th in the Robinson scale of deprivation. However, community activists believed in the ability of their community. If the British government, through its agencies, refused to support the regeneration of the area, then people would do it themselves.
As far as we were concerned, the Conway Mill really came alive in the beginning of the 80s. It was a very difficult time for us, and we couldn't get industry in this area at all because there was a government policy against it. We tried to create industry. Sometimes the government destroyed it. Certainly they wouldn't support it. Sometimes they sent in the troops and occupied the factories that we had. So when we got this building, it was completely empty and just a shell. It had once upon a time had 200 workers, and we had this amazing vision that we could again have 250 people working here. And so that's how it came into being. There were people who had the vision to see that that was possible. And also one of the things we wanted was education, which was totally and absolutely free for people to say what they liked, to learn what they liked, to think what they liked. And the only way we could do that was to have a commercial operation which would uphold an educational project like that. And this was the ideal site for it. The trouble was that so many people who were in control of education and in control of industry realised that it was possible, and they didn't want it to happen. However, as time went on, just by sheer handwork, people like Tom Cahill, Frank Cahill and people, these were wonderful people who just took hold of the place and eventually made it into a place where 60 people were working and where an education project was going on, which was quite imaginative and very exciting.
Negotiations were started with a number of statutory agencies to develop new initiatives, business management and enterprise training for local groups and individuals, housing and welfare rights courses, cultural events like Sunday Night at the Mill, a series of talks, readings and discussions, and much more. Small grants were received to sustain some of these activities. Conway Mill became synonymous with the people's voice. People from all walks of life, all political and religious persuasions, and none, were welcome to the mill.